All right, so I just wanted to do a quick little video directed towards maybe people who have heard this comment before. And I don't know if I'll put it up on the screen or whatever, but it has to do with what Malazan fans often say about the Book of the Fallen, or the series in general. And it has to do with when people say that Malazan, the author, doesn't hold your hand. Now, that probably comes across a number of ways. It could come across that you have to be smart to read Malazan. Right? It doesn't hold your hand. And it doesn't. Now, I started the 6th book in the series. Big, fat book. And I spent 2 hours on 20 pages of this prologue. Now, that is not the sign of some genius Malazan fan. When we say that it doesn't hold your hand, what we really are saying is a couple things. It's a style choice that you are dropped into this place, and even though you're kind of tossed into the deep end sometimes, it is done with love. There are things to hold on to, but if you're just going to zip through it, you might not grasp everything. It is a series, at least for me, that has forced me to slow down a little bit. And I have soon found, like with other series, I mean, it's not the only deep series out there. But it, like a lot of series, it's one where you kind of get out of it what you put into it. I read the first 2 books quite quick, and I enjoyed them. And I'm glad I probably did them that quickly, because if I would have gone slow with Dead House Gates, I probably would have burnt right out of it. And that was fine. But I know on the next read, I'll probably go slow and try to grasp all the flavor and the nuance and things. One of the special things that I have found about Malazan so far, and it wasn't really apparent to me until Memories of Ice. Sometimes the way Steven Erikson writes, and I've mentioned this before, things are quite cyclical with the way he writes. Now, he will often grab a number of themes, and he will have them kind of encoded into a whole bunch of different things, and they will kind of echo. One might be mental health struggles, and he will have this kind of, within all the different characters, they're all kind of having some experience with it that kind of echoes with the things going on. Also, there are little nuggets of the history and the lore that you don't necessarily need all of those things, but they are not going to be fed to you in a way that is just fed to you. And that is not to indict other people. Sometimes I want something else. I'm a big fan of these other books that do have that more traditional style. And not every book needs to be that way, where you are kind of seeking the subtext of what is going on. Now, if I were to show you Memories of Ice especially, I spent this time going very slowly through. And when people see that, I'm sure in general people are like, well, that's a nightmare. I would never do that. And that's fine. That's fine. But again, this series is kind of, you get out of it what you put into it. And it's totally, totally fine if you don't want to put in that extra time. But we are here to tell you, as Malazan fans, that if you do want to put in that extra time and really dig deep into things, you don't have to be a genius. You just, like I said, you just get out of it what you put into it. And if every book was like this, I wouldn't be a reader because I don't want to do this for every series. It would be too much. Now, this doesn't work if you are constantly looking towards the next book. I know a lot of us live in TBR purgatory, where we just, even though we're reading a book, we're constantly looking at the pages and we're constantly looking at the next book. Now, if you are in that mode where you want to read lots of books, and you kind of have this goal for how many books you would like to read, probably Malazan isn't the thing that's going to, it's probably just going to make you anxious and stuff. Now, if you are okay with really not looking at the page numbers, really enjoying the journey, I really do think that this is the greatest journey in a book that I've ever been on in a series. I just have totally forgotten about the length of the series. I am 5 books into it, which is almost 5,000 pages, and that's not even halfway. And usually that would be like, I would get anxious about that. But now I just don't want the journey to end because I'm just so pleased with the fact that what you do put into it, you really do get out. And I am so looking forward to a reread, not because I'm some kind of genius, but I really do think that there's something special here. And I don't think it's for everyone, though, especially those who maybe wouldn't want to really kind of dig into, to really slow down with some books. That's all we're saying. That's all we're saying. It's not an indictment about someone's intelligence when we say that Steven Erikson doesn't hold your hand. And often that will kind of, that I'll see a response that people will kind of criticize Malazan saying, well, if he can't make it clear, then that's just the sign of a bad author. And I will just push back and say that's a style choice. It's just a style choice. I loved the Souls series, Dark Souls. One of the reasons I loved that when it came out, it was just a style where you would look through item descriptions and you would really pay attention to the subtext of where you were and what was going on. And it was just something super special and interesting about it, especially as we kind of would uncover things as a community. And this series is the first time that I have really recaptured some of that joy of the exploration. And that's all we're trying to say. We're not trying to say it's some kind of, it's not Dostoevsky. It's not some super technical, listen to me talk. I'm not a genius. And I love these books. And I am understanding the story for the most part. At least I know it enough to where I am just totally engrossed. So that is the invitation. When we are saying it doesn't hold your hand, we're saying that, it's just an invitation. If that seems like something like you would be into, and it's not a thing where it's necessarily sink or swim, because I do believe that he always kind of reminds you of things, but there's a little bit of that where you do need to pay attention. And that's not to say you don't need to in other books. Again, there's a lot of maybe some misunderstanding of why people use that. And if people do use that as a way to gatekeep, being like, we're smart over here and you're not, don't listen to them, because that is not, I haven't seen that in the community here that have been discussing Malazan with me. It's too bad when that happens, but that's not what we would mean over here in on this channel when we talk about the complexity maybe and the depth of Non-Malazan. So just wanted to get that out there because I do think it ruffles some feathers in a way that it doesn't need to. But yeah, I will talk to you guys on the next one. And there, I've loved the Malazan community. They've been great to me. There's always going to be some sour people sometimes, but it shouldn't spoil the whole bunch. So talk to you on the next one.